Good evening, everyone. I am Aaron.
I'm Tess.
Oh gosh. And this is the AskTheRaCast Session 7. But as usual, before we get started, we're going to go about our disclaimer. We are not experts. We do not claim to be spiritual gurus. These episodes contain our interpretations of the materials discussed. We implore you to not take our interpretations as the only understanding of the materials. The materials themselves are the only authoritative sources available. We encourage all listeners and viewers taking in our content to use their own discernment in regards to the materials we discuss. If one feels any attractive interest in the materials discussed herein, it is our perception that one should access the source material in their own study to come to their own conclusions, and as always, links will be provided. Thank you for your continued support and drive towards spiritual polarization, and welcome to the family.
Whoop whoop.
And now, for something special.
You are listening to a cassette recording of a channeling session from the Raw Contact, a series of 106 sessions that were conducted between 1981 and 1984, using a form of tuned trance telepathy. Throughout these sessions, a group of entities identified as Ra shared information regarding the Law of One, spiritual evolution, and a variety of esoteric topics through a series of questions and answers. The full text transcript of these recorded sessions can be read for free at lnlresearch.org, where you can also learn more about this audio and its origins. This recording is intended for personal study and is not available for commercial use. Please contact LNL Research if you wish to use this audio in any other way.
Raw, session number 7, January 25th, 1981.
You mentioned that you were a member of the Confederation of Planets. What avenues of service or types of service are available to members of the Confederation? Could you describe some of them?
I am Ra. I am assuming that you intend the service which we of the Confederation can offer, rather than the service which is available to our use. The service available.
There's a little teaser as we've been doing the last few shows, and I did get back in touch with LL to see if they're okay with us continuing to do that. So that may change in the future. We shall see. However, in this session, LL gets into some extremely interesting information about Ra, the Confederation of Planets, the Council of Nine, and more about the Orion Group. These topics are fairly important in regards to the processes of higher density beings, what they do, how they go about it, and the permissions per se to do such. As always, there's a lot of deep and pertinent info in here to really describe parts of existence that aren't easily learned here in our current density. You ready to hop into it?
Yep.
How do you want to do it? You want to be Ra or do you want to be Don?
Whichever one you want.
I don't really care.
I don't care either.
You go ahead and ask questions this time.
Okay.
I'll play Ra.
All right. So you mentioned that you are a member of the Confederation of Planets. What avenues of service or types of service are available to members of the Confederation? Would you describe some of them?
Ra responds, I am Ra. I am assuming that you intend the service which we of the Confederation can offer, rather than the service which is available to our use. The service available for our offering to those who call us is equivalent to the square of the distortion need of that calling, divided by or integrated with the basic law of one, in its distortion, indicating the free will of those who are not aware of the unity of creation.
So from this, I am assuming that the difficulty you have contacting this planet at this time is the mixture of people here, some being aware of the unity, some not, and for this reason you cannot come openly or give any proof of your contact. Is this correct?
I am Ra. As we just repeated through this instrument, we must integrate all of the portions of your social memory complex in its illusory disintegration form. Then the product of this can be seen as the limit of our ability to serve. We are fortunate that the law of service squares the desires of those who call. Otherwise, we would have no beingness in this time-space at this present continuum of the illusion. In short, you are basically correct. The thought of not being able is not a part of our basic thought form complex towards your peoples, but rather is a maximal consideration of what is possible. So in my understanding, there has to be a call for them to, anyone of the Confederation, not just Rob, but anyone of the Confederation to be able, well, they are able, but to come and provide service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got anything to add there?
I just giggled a little bit.
Why?
Because it's like, I want to go into this, but in short, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. It happens a few times, actually. So, yeah, there has to be a call. If there isn't, or if it's distorted one way or the other, then they won't. I guess it's part of the law of service. And he talks about the squares later, but it seems like there has to be someone wanting it before they come provide it, which is odd at first until you remember the law of confusion. They're not like a lot of people say, they're not just going to plop down in the front lawn of the White House and be like, hey, this is reality, everything you knew is a lie.
Yeah.
Or is used to control you or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all stuff you got to figure out on your own, because I guess otherwise it doesn't matter. Or I guess really it has an effect on the experiment that the Logos is performing that isn't intended. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. It would only make sense to listeners who have listened to previous episodes. But yes, yes, that's good. Because if you don't understand that, listen to some old ones.
All right. So we're going into some complicated maths.
Mm-hmm.
By squared, what do you mean that if 10 people call you can count that when comparing it to the planetary ratio of people as 100 people, squaring 10, getting 100? Is that correct?
This is where it gets interesting.
I hate math.
But it's not that bad, and I think my notes in here, I believe I'm accurate in how I deciphered this.
I hate math.
I am wrong. This is incorrect. The square is sequential. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each squared by the next number. And Don, do you want to read that or you want me to? Because I typed it out.
So Don continues to ask questions to clarify this math. Thank God. I forget what the formula is called. I'm just going to read your notes directly.
That's fine.
Okay. Forget what the formula is actually called. Believe it's related to the Fibonacci. Yeah, that makes sense. Fibonacci sequence. Oh, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4. I remember that.
So I think that's the Fibonacci sequence, and I think that's what Ra's talking about. But it's they're also saying squares, so it could be 1 squared 2, which would be 1, technically 1. I don't know how to get past 1.
Let's see. 2.
Because 2 to the 3rd power is now
6.
no.
2 times 2 is 4.
Times 2
times 2
is 8. That's not the Fibonacci sequence.
No.
So if he's actually squaring them, so hold on.
I don't like math.
Well,
this is why I stopped doing math.
to continue on with my note, and I said it would make sense when it's taken into consideration that it relates to so much of our existence already. Nonetheless, existence beyond our understanding. So talking about the Fibonacci sequence, like that is like the perfect spiral thing. And did I spell his name right? Oh, hell yeah. See, that's the perfect spiral. Oh, it's 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. So it's plus. It's not multiplying.
Yeah, but where's 4?
It skips 4 because it doesn't come up. So what I wrote down is 1, not the Fibonacci sequence, and 2 probably incorrect.
And then you don't have 6 or 7. This is weird. I don't.
Well, so you're doing 1 plus 1 is 2. Oh, Jesus.
You gotta stop touching things.
1 plus 1 is 2. Right, so there's 2. So you get rid of that 1. Now it's 1 plus 2, 3. 2 plus 3, 5. 3 plus 5, 8. 5 plus 8, 13. That's the Fibonacci sequence.
Well, I don't like it.
That's how you get spirals, which is nature.
Yeah.
The Fibonacci sequence is nature. But that's not what this is talking about. So see if there's like a law of squares or something. So not only was I wrong, but I was doubly wrong. The law of squares is a theorem concerning transmission lines. Hello. Says that the current injected into the line, but oh god, that's electrical theory. What about like the law of sequential squares?
Or do you want like law of square roots?
It's not square roots. Sequential, at least no. Sequential sum of squares?
Oh gosh.
No.
We're getting back into stats.
It's not that. Well, so I was wrong.
How do you know it's not that?
Because it's not statistics.
But statistics is still math.
Is the reduction in the error sum of squares when one or more predictor variables are added to the model? Or is the increase in the regression sum of squares when one or more predictor variables are... No, it's not that. I didn't take stats and I understand that. I was going to say law of sequential squares, but...
Not everything is going to say law.
Yeah, but you just went back to sequential sum of squares by looking
No, I
at
didn't.
it.
I just said sequential squares.
Yeah, but that's what came up.
Yeah, well, still trying.
Consecutive. Now we're getting into some weird stuff. I don't think it really matters. What's important to get out of this is that the calling is massively larger than the number of people actually making the call, which Ra gets into in a moment here. Something keeps flashing on the screen. I wonder if we're having like some weird USB issues, because if you look at my stream deck right now, it's all flashy. I think I've got some alien shit going on. The Orion group is coming to fuck with us. It's possible. Okay, let's continue, babe.
Now I just want to know this.
You're not going to find it because it's just a raw transmission.
Math.
Yep, math is math.
Okay. So we're just gonna move on. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go
yeah.
Math.
Like I said, it's not really that important. What's important to get out of it is the amount of people, or the strength, size, whatever, of the calling is exponentially larger than the number of people making the call.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the greater than the sum of its parts things.
It's not like a greater sum of squares.
No.
I'm trying here.
There's nothing to try. We don't need a theorem for Ra, other
Okay.
than that they exist.
Oh, you're warm. Okay.
You're cold. It feels great.
About how many entities at present are calling
So you
from...
just did it again.
Yeah, I keep seeing it out of the corner of my eye. Thank you.
I need to watch it and see what happens.
It just flashes.
It just flashes?
Yeah.
I thought I saw a face on there.
Oh my god.
Freaking out.
Stop.
Stop.
How much pot did you smoke?
Absolutely none.
See, it just wigs out.
Oh, okay. Strange.
Anyway, about how many entities at present are calling from planet Earth for your services?
I am called personally by 352,000. The Confederation, in its entire spectrum of entity complexes, is called by 632 millions of your mind, body, spirit complexes. These numbers have been simplified.
Simplified. As in, like, rounded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me what the result of the application of the law of squares is to those figures?
And this is what I was just saying. The number is approximately meaningless in the finite sense, as there are many, many digits. It, however, constitutes a great calling, which we of all creation feel and hear, as if our own entities were distorted towards a great and overwhelming sorrow. It demands our service. So like I was saying, like, we can dig into and try to find the law. Well, they just said the law of squares. We Googled it. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Because this is raw speak.
So at what point would this calling be enough for you to openly come among the people of Earth? How many entities on Earth would have to... Oh my gosh. How many entities on Earth would have to call the Confederation?
This is also kind of an interesting one.
It's all interesting.
Yeah, you're right. I am wrong. We do not calculate the possibility of coming among your peoples by the numbers of calling, but by a consensus among an entire societal memory complex which has become aware of the infinite consciousness of all things. This has been possible among your peoples only in isolated instances. So the Egyptians and the people in South America.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlanteans and
Mayans.
the Mayans. That's my assumption. So Aztecs, some other South American peoples.
Mm-hmm.
Seemingly there is communication with like Vikings of some sort. Or it could have been just based off of the stories of Egypt.
I could see like Indians.
Yeah.
Not like Indians.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
People from India.
No. Oh.
Native
Indians.
Americans?
Yes.
Racist.
They're only called Native Americans because we named this land America. So it's not racist.
And they were only called Indians because Christopher Columbus was a
so
racist
what did they
bastard.
call themselves? What did they call themselves? That is the question now, isn't it?
The different
People.
tribes.
Yeah, exactly. So,
you have like the...
Both things are racist.
You have the... Well, no, because they're the people native to America.
But America is not them.
But they're native to America.
But that's not them.
It is them.
America is only made by the people who came here.
But it is a collective...
I'm pushing...
You're being an asshole. You're laughing about being a complete asshole. Because I can die. We got the Mohicans, we got the Chippewa, we got the Cherokee.
I didn't know Jeeps were really a part of us. Let's just move on. I'm full of sass today.
You're full of shit. Someone needs to drop a deuce. In the case where in a social memory complex, which is servant of the Creator, sees this situation and has an idea for the appropriate aid, which can only be done among your peoples. The social memory complex desiring this project lays it before the Council of Saturn. Yay! If it is approved, quarantine is lifted.
Make sure you wear a mask.
It's going to be one of them nights, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah.
So I have a question here.
It's right there.
Yeah. I believe about that council from Jim. Who are the members and how does the council function?
You reading that question was terrible.
Let me restart. I have a question here, I believe, about the council from Jim.
There you go.
Who are the members and how does the council function?
I am Ra.
No, you're not.
I am not.
Sorry.
The members of the council are representatives from the Confederation, from those vibratory levels of your inner planes, bearing responsibility for your third density. The names are not important because there are no names. Your mind, body, spirit complexes request names, and so, in many cases, the vibratory sound complexes, which are consonant with the vibratory distortions of each entity, are used. However, the name complex is not part of the council. If names are requested, we will attempt them. However, not all have chosen names. Fairly simple.
Mm-hmm.
In number, the council that sits in constant session, though varying in its members by means of balancing which takes place what you would call irregularly, is 9. That is the session council. To back up this council, there are 24 entities which offer their services as requested. These entities faithfully watch and have been called the Guardians. So now we're going down a level now.
Are they the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes. The council operates by means of what you would call telepathic contact with the oneness of unity, or unity of the 9. The distortions blending harmoniously so that the law of one prevails with ease. When a need for thought is present, the council retains the distortion complex of this need, balancing it as described, and then recommends what is considered as appropriate action. This includes 1. The duty of admitting social memory complexes to the Confederation. 2. Offering aid to those who are unsure how to aid the social memory complex requesting aid in a way consonant with both the call, the law, and the number of those calling. That is to say, sometimes the resistance of the call. 3. Internal questions in the council are determined. These are the prominent duties of the council. They are, if in any doubt, able to contact the 24, who then offer consensus, judgment thinking to the council. The council then may reconsider any question.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Somewhat hierarchical, but not to the point of like negative entities where it's like totalitarian.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, like Ross said before, it is very much a confederation. It is a collection of entities from many different places that all come together for the same thing. Have you noticed that the ceiling in the camera, like the cross lines for the tiles, like disappears between us?
It's probably because of the light.
I mean, yeah, and then now the camera's freaking out. Like, all my USBs are freaking out. Like, bad. This is insane.
Can I have some water, please?
Yeah, of course. Sippy, sippy, doo-dah.
So is the Council of 9 the same 9 that was mentioned in Yuri by
Andrea
Henry
Puhar.
I hate names.
Wow. Wow. So is the
sorry.
Council of 9 the same 9 that was mentioned in the book Yuri by Andrea Henry Puharich? I am Ra. The Council of 9 has been retained in semi-undistorted form by 2 main sources. That known in your naming as Mark, and that known in your naming as Henry. In one case, the channel became the scribe, In the other, the channel was not the scribe. However, without the aid of the scribe, the energy would not have come to the channel. So they're talking about, I should have put it in here, honestly, but Henry Puhards and Mark something or other. They were other people that did some channelings and wrote some stuff.
So he just jumps right back into UFOs.
Sort of.
Okay. I am interested in the application of the law of one as it pertains to free will and what I would call the advertising done by UFO contact with the planet. That is, the Council has allowed the quarantine to be lifted many times over the past 30 years. This seems to me to be a form of advertising for what we are doing right now, so that more people will be awakened. Am I correct?
This is good.
It's all good.
Yes, it's all good, but there's points that stand out to me. I am Ra. It will take a certain amount of untangling of conceptualization of your mental complex to reform your query into an appropriate response. Please bear with us. The Council of Saturn has not allowed the breaking of quarantine in the time-space continuum you mentioned. There is a certain amount of landing taking place. Some of these landings are of your peoples. Some are of the entities known to you as the group of Orion. Secondly, there is permission granted not to break quarantine by dwelling among you, but to appear in thought form capacity for those who have eyes to see. Thirdly, you are correct in assuming that permission was granted at the time-space in which your first nuclear device was developed and used for Confederation members to minister unto your peoples in such a way as to cause mystery to occur. This is what you mean by advertising, and is correct. The mystery and unknown quality of the occurrences we are allowed to offer have the hoped-for intention of making your peoples aware of infinite possibility. When your peoples grasp infinity, then, and only then, can the gateway be opened to the law of one.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is Don didn't specifically call out the instance that Ross speaking of in advertising with the nukes from World War II in that whole era. But where I was like, yeah, we came in and basically stopped it from happening as much as they could.
I was going to say some nukes still dropped, so.
Yes, but not ones that would have
Annihilated.
really fucked up not just Earth, but the universe. Like, not just us. Now, as to details as to the whole Nagasaki Hiroshima, I don't know. Was there intervention? Possibly. Was there intervention by Orion? Possibly. What Ra is saying here is that they stepped in, and other members of the, well, I didn't necessarily say Ra, but the Confederation stepped in and stopped nuclear annihilation.
But stopping it would technically be against free will, wouldn't it?
There's a fine line. They didn't technically come in and stop it. They just provided mystery. Part of the law of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So they, and this is actually in that Netflix special, believe it or not, the whole vessels coming in and swooping around and like zapping missiles as they're being launched, and then they just completely fall to the earth, totally inert or contained explosion in the sky. And they're in the show, they also talk about instances where someone starts the sequence either intentionally or by accident, and it just stops. So, in a way, yes, there was some intervention, and there may or may not have been some polarity one way or the other from it. But I think that fine line is when one logos, so Earth, where a sub-logos is threatening other logoses, is intervention allowed. Hence the whole guardians and the 9 in the council. So there's probably a lot of communication there. And they have, the experiences from their logoses and their entities and all that, saying, hey, for the betterment of everybody, maybe we should do something. Let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. Makes sense.
I think that's what it is. Now, you can, of course, continue and have your own interpretation. Yes. Opinion. That was terrible.
That was very lame.
Yeah, we'll make that eventually. All right.
So you mentioned Orion as a source of some of the contacts of UFOs. Can you tell me something of that contact, its purpose?
I am wrong.
No, you're not.
Consider, if you will, a simple example of intentions which are bad, good. This example is Adolf. This is your vibratory sound complex. The intention is to presumably unify by choosing the distortion complex called elite from a social memory complex and then enslaving by various effects those who are seen as the distortion of not elite. There is then the concept of taking the social memory complex, thus weeded, and adding it to the distortion thought of by the so-called Orion group as an empire. I really sucked at reading that paragraph, but did you get it?
So Adolf meaning Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
Formed a social memory complex, enslaving others.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically World War II.
Holocaust, but yeah.
Which is World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But the Orion group kind of intervened and made the distortion of, like, this is it. Like, this is how it should be?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
Mm. It's just a concept.
Oh, okay.
It's just that so empires and hierarchical stuff like that are thoughts by the Orion group as an empire. Like, that's how they picture an empire, is the hierarchical, and how Adolf was.
Well, that's what I was
example,
saying. Like, the Orion group said, like, this is how it should be.
They didn't say anything. How I'm understanding it, they did not say anything. This was just their concept.
So, Hitler is not a part of this Orion group?
No, Hitler is actually stuck in our mid-astral planes healing still. Because, and this is spoken on later and by even more recent channelings, I actually just saw this on Twitter the other day and watched it somewhere else, I think on YouTube anyways. Kuo is being channeled talking about, no. It was in Living the Law of One. Carlo was writing about it in there. That's where I got it from. A Kuo channel who says to be of Ra, they ask about Hitler again. And so all these different times these entities are saying, like, Hitler, though did terrible things, in his viewpoint was doing it for the greater good.
Yeah. I mean, that's
right.
What most big leaders think.
Hear me out. Negative entities don't do that. They don't do it for the greater good. They don't do it for the betterment of anybody. Everything they do is for the betterment of themselves, period.
Mm-hmm.
So he did all these horrible things thinking it was for the good of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
There's the distortion.
Okay.
Where these middle astral planes are, I don't remember, and I don't remember if it's said, but that's where Adolf has been since his passing, whenever that was.
Because Hitler didn't kill himself.
No, I firmly believe that. There's too much proof of him in Africa.
Yeah.
So there's a name for the higher self that Ra uses way later on.
I would not be able to help you.
And I think it's even mentioned early on too. So basically, the culmination of an individual's spirit, right? I don't know if that is what is in the mid-astral plane, or if it is just that incarnation, that part of the culmination of whatever the main spirit of Hitler is trapped there. Because let's say you're very capable of astral projection, right? Mm-hmm. You can project your energy into these other realms, these other planes of existence, and you see souls trapped. In my understanding, most of those souls are so distorted and so lost that they have, if they did know about it, no longer have any way to contact their higher selves. So they're stuck there until they're pulled out of it. Aaron actually talks about one of his interesting ones, where he saw a war vet sitting down with his battle buddy and like freaking out and just losing their mind because their battle buddy's dead in their arms, and just playing that over and over and over again. And he stood and watched it just happen over and over. And he goes over and tries to help this person, and he's just like, "What? Do you not see what's around you?" And sometimes you can pull him out of it. Other times you can't. Or sometimes you're just not the right one to pull him out of it.
It's almost like sitting here now and having delusions that are playing over and over in your head.
Well, except you're not dead and living it.
Well, no, I know, but I mean, like, it's just it's an example as well.
Yeah, you're playing this situation over in your head, but not changing anything of it. You're just letting it eat away at you, whatever it may be, instead of moving on. Like, that is a very simplified and more easily recovered from example, yes, but
yeah, I'm
I get what you're saying.
Another example.
Yeah, so those people, those souls, I don't think have any sort of, like I said, even if they did in life understand that there is more, which, I mean, in my distortion, they would be able to let go, but I guess if something is that traumatic, like, you won't. But if higher self is able to be contacted, I mean, you could kind of suck yourself back out, I would suppose. But you were like looking through me there for a second. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm. I was still listening.
I know you're listening, but you were looking through me. So, I don't, like I said,
It's because I was taking things and processing as I was listening.
I don't know if it is the mind, body, spirit, totality. I think that's what it's called. I think I just got it. I don't know if that's that there for Hitler, or if it's just Hitler there. Either way, within the last couple of years, it is stated Hitler's still down there, still healing. So,
down, up, around,
wherever the mid-astral planes are. So if you can project, you could come upon Hitler.
I'll try for you.
Good luck.
Okay.
The problem facing them is that they face a great deal of random energy released by the concept of separation. This causes them to be vulnerable as the distortions amongst their own members are not harmonized. That's just talking about the Orion group, like the complete disharmony and the yeah. I just can't think of words right now.
That's okay. I'm also very tired.
I can tell.
So words are not coming very well for me either.
Yeah, you can't read either, so I mean, there's some struggle going on.
I can read. It's just very tiny sentences.
Yes. No.
What is the density of the Orion group?
This, I felt like, was a pretty useless question, but when you're trying, like I said, Don is a scientist. He wants to get all the information he can.
Knowledge is power.
I am Ra. This one could be assumed very safely. Like the Confederation, The densities of the mass consciousness which comprise that group are varied. There are a very few third density, a larger number of fourth, a similarly large number of fifth density, and very few sixth density entities comprising this organization. Their numbers are perhaps 1/10 ours at any point in the space-time continuum, as the problem of spiritual entropy, that's the word I was just trying to think of, causes them to experience constant disintegration of their social memory complexes. Spiritual entropy is separation. And it kills you because we're all one. Their power is the same as ours. The law of one blinks neither at the light or the darkness, but is available for service to others and service to self. However, service to others results in service to self, thus preserving and further harmonizing the distortions of those entities seeking intelligent infinity through these disciplines. Basically saying, it's okay, do what you want. Those seeking intelligent infinity through the use of service to self create the same amount of power, but, as we said, have constant difficulty because of the concept of separation, which is implicit in the manifestations of the service to self, which involve power over others. This weakens and eventually disintegrates the energy collected by such mind-body-spirit complexes, who call the Orion group and the social memory complexes which comprise the Orion group. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
So, they're just as powerful. I'm gonna quote that because it's changed later. But all of the power there draws it out, like pulls them apart, and there's always a power struggle. It should be noted, carefully pondered, and accepted that the law of one is available to any social memory complex which has decided to strive together for any seeking of purpose, be it service to others or service to self. The laws, which are the primal distortions of the law of one, then are placed into operation, and the illusion of space-time is used as a medium for the development of the results of those choices freely made. Thus, all entities learn, no matter what they seek. All learn the same, some rapidly, some slowly. That seemed fairly simple to me.
It's a very long answer for one tiny question.
Welcome to Raw.
He answered it in the first paragraph.
I like the elaboration there because it kind of helps describe how punitive the Orion group is, in my opinion.
Okay. Using as an example a fifth density group or social memory complex of the Orion group, what was their previous density before they became fifth density?
I am wrong. The progress through densities is sequential. A fifth density social memory complex would be comprised of mind, body, spirit complexes harvested from fourth density. Then the conglomerate or mass mind, body, spirit complex does its melding, and the results are due to the infinitely various possibilities of combinations of distortions.
No.
What?
Just in my mind. What were they before fifth? Fourth?
Yeah.
Then before that third?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm trying to understand how a group such as the Orion group would progress. I was of the opinion that a closer understanding of the law of one created the condition of acceptability moving, say, from our third density to the fourth in our transition now. And I'm trying to understand how it would be possible, if you were in the Orion group and pointed towards self-service, how you would progress, say, from the third density to the fourth. What learning would be necessary for that?
I am wrong. This is the last question of length for this instrument at this time. The show's almost over, folks. You will recall that we went into some detail as to how those not oriented towards seeking service for others, yet, nevertheless, found and could use the gateway to intelligent infinity. This is true at all densities in our octave. We cannot speak for those above us, as you would say, in the next quantum or octave of beingness. Fairly simple. This is, however, true of this octave of densities. The beings are harvested because they can see and enjoy the light love of the appropriate density. Those who have found this light love light without benefit of a desire for service, nevertheless, by the law of free will, have the right to the use of that light love for whatever purpose. I think that's fairly simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, it may be inserted that there are systems of study which enable the seeker of separation to gain these gateways. This study is as difficult as the one which we have described to you, but there are those with the perseverance to pursue the study, just as you desire to pursue the difficult path of seeking to know in order to serve. So positive and negative are both equally difficult. The distortion lies in the fact that those who seek to serve the self are seen by the law of one as precisely the same as those who seek to serve others. For are we all not one? To serve yourself and to serve others and to serve other is a dual method of saying the same thing, if you can understand the essence of the law of one. So saying whichever way you're going about it, you're serving self anyways and serving other at the same time, blah, 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 because we're all one. The usual. So what really kind of gets me going here is the ponderance of the whole. I don't remember if we talk about it on the show yet, but you have to be 95% negative to polarize the next density in negative. But only 51% positive service to others.
Which is why you can polarize without knowing the law of one.
Right, and I'm sure many, many have. But at that point, they're going to get slapped in the face by it and be like, what? If you have to be that dedicated to it, I have a hard time comprehending that they're equally as difficult. Do you understand my confusion?
I can see how it can be equally as difficult.
I mean, it is in the sense that, like, you're essentially doing the same thing, right? But you have to be so much more dedicated to the negative path.
But it's easy to be... in my opinion, it's easier... opinion.
I just punched the microphone. I apologize.
To be more dedicated to the negative path because people are lazy. So they aren't going to want to do service to others.
I don't think laziness plays into it that much.
But it can be, like, mentally lazy. Like, I can really do this, but I really don't want to. I'm going to do this for myself. Screw everybody else.
So that's still not laziness, though, in my understanding. Because you're still going to do something. You're not doing nothing.
I guess so, yeah. Okay.
If you're doing nothing, you're stuck in that 6 to 40 or
so
6 to 50%.
So lazy was the wrong word to use. My apologies.
I mean, yeah, but I wouldn't know the right word to, or a more applicable word to put in there.
Ignorant.
No, because ignorance is just not knowing.
Rude.
I mean, yeah, but
Stupidity.
There's a fine line living either side.
I'm just saying it could be difficult.
Well, stupidity,
either way.
that is 100% an opinion.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it could be difficult either way because, you know, some people just don't want to help others.
Right, but...
And it would be difficult to do that.
To not want to help others?
It would be difficult for those who don't want to help others to help others. And it'll be difficult for people who want to help others to help themselves. Just like me. I want to help others than help myself. I don't want to help myself.
I get
would
that.
be the last person to help.
But how does that play into the equal difficulty to polarize one way or the other? Because now what you're describing is, I mean, you're basically doing, and I'm not saying you're negatively thinking here, but you're doing what the negative path does. It shows what the creator is by showing what it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So doing what you're not wanting to do, I'm just failing to grasp your concept here. Probably because I'm failing to grasp it all.
It's probably because I'm failing of thinking about it.
When there's so many teachers have said, if you come upon a negative density entity, you should almost applaud them for being so dedicated to serving themselves. And ironically enough, in doing so, you actually depolarize them and they flee from you. So anyone out there who meditates or has some spiritual feelings around them and they don't feel good, literally face them. And if you can communicate, try. Don't be scared. But be firm and confident in yourself. And understand that you just appreciating them for what they are and who they are.
What I enjoy doing is, like, if I get that ringing in my ears, I'll ask the question, is this negative or positive? If it's positive, it usually sticks around. If it's negative, it just dips. It stops happening.
And that could happen for a little while, but they are more than capable of lying to you.
Yeah.
To an extent. Because they still have to follow the law of confusion. So they can't necessarily come out right and just lie to your face. Like another entity won't, because they want their polarization, come to you and say, if they're not wrong, be like, I am wrong. That's not what we're doing here. We're reading quotes from a book. I just want to clarify that. But it's simple, right? Like, they can get in your head.
Mm-hmm.
They can talk to you. They can do any sort of signs of communication, like the ears ringing, twitching, itching of the ears. I mean, everybody has different things that happens to them. But there are some general ones, and those are a couple of them. Some people hear the voices in their head and question it. Rightly so, in human existence. But all I gotta say is, if you're into this and you have your moments of silence, you have your moments of inner ponderance and meditation and living in I am and not letting the distortions of the negative ego consume you, and you feel something. You can feel tingles, you can feel your hair stand up, you can feel electricity. There may be something there. If you keep working on clearing your mind every time that you meditate and a thought appears and you are able to push it away, you're becoming stronger. Your mind, your brain remembers all of this. The more you push that out and the more you get yourself into the moment of, I am sitting here in the stillness of love, the easier that becomes. I've been doing it a lot over the last few months, and I've been able to damn near a few times completely quiet my thoughts. And then I'm sitting there thinking, I just cleared my head. Oh, shit. So when you get in there and you push these away and guided meditations work, anything, if you're in the middle of any of this and you feel anything, you can try to communicate. And it's as simple as thinking it in your head. If you're one of us that likes to have conversations with yourself in your head, do it just like that. But don't let the ego talk back. And you can question it, because if it is an entity, they will have a response. The ego will always run out of answers. Always. No matter what it is. If you're struggling with any thought, any distortion, any situation, any feeling, any emotion, and it is anything other than love, it's likely negative ego. Because you cannot be hurt. You are everything. You are somewhat your emotions, sure. Your thoughts, depends. I kind of lost my train of thought a little bit there, but if you're having these negative feelings, there are methods to go through it. I'm not going to get too deep into it on the podcast as it might be in some video series I do in the future. Or we do. Don't know right now. Just know that the simple fact that you're trying is enough. You're here for a reason. Long story short, that reason is the choice. But you gotta be able to understand that before you can make it. And if you're stuck here dwelling in the past, dwelling in pain, dwelling in situations that you went through, emotions you felt, experiences you received, things done to your body, not to you, but to your body, to your ego. Yeah, you're not going to be able to crack open the door until you start working on that. And it sounds hard at first. Give it 3 weeks, in my experience. Dig into some shadow work. If something comes up right away, there's methods. You can either rationalize it, which is the more masculine approach, and kind of shut off what's causing it to happen. Difficult. Takes time. There's a feminine approach, which is feel the emotions to the extent of their pure ridiculousness. If you drop a Skittle on the floor, bawl your eyes out like your grandma just cut her head off. And then go further. That's an example. A terrible one, but an example. Feel the emotion to the extent where it is so ridiculous. You're like, why the fuck would I even think that? That is a great way to deal with anger issues too. But it works for pain. That feminine approach is extremely painful, but it heals fast, but it also doesn't shut off the source. You have to do both to completely become one. The example that was provided to me by Aaron, which I fucking love, is there's a house filled up with water. The masculine approach would be go in and shut off all the faucets. There's no more water coming in. You're killing the source. The feminine approach is burst open all the doors and the windows, let it all flow out in a mass flood. But that doesn't cut off the source. So you need both. You can tinker around with both. You can kind of start shutting off the valves. Then you can crack a window, let a little shoot out.
You've gone way off topic.
I know, I kind of got into some personal healing, but all of this kind of plays into it. In a way. Sorry.
No.
I hopped on that track and I fucking rolled with it.
Just sitting here waiting for you to
meditate. If there's an entity there, talk to them. If they're negative and you appreciate them for their dedication, they'll probably go away.
Even that's on topic.
I mean, kind of. We got on the topic of negative and positive entities and shit. Okay. My bad.
I'm just sitting here going, you know.
I got all serious for a minute. I basically made a YouTube video right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just sitting here going,
Hey, for all I know, there's someone that's going to listen to this and hear that, and they're going to need it.
Yeah.
And if you're out there, you're welcome. I love you. Like, comment, subscribe. All right, so to end this session, Don asks, as usual, an update on how they're doing about the process. And like we said multiple times, this happens at the end of literally every session. So I'm saying, unless there's important aspects provided to our distortions of importance, this will be the last episode where we kind of talk about this. So anything you want to say about this session? And not me going on about, personal healing. Man may fire.
Man discover fire.
Man make fire.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. I mean, we kind of talked about it a lot during the reading, so I think we did pretty good. So Ra actually ends this session.
Just drop on my leg.
A crumb.
Ugh.
I am Ra. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth then, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one creator. Adonai. It's the last one, baby.
No, it's not.
It is.
No.
So, if you have nothing to add, I think we'll go ahead and close this one out. So, thanks for watching. If someone came to the live stream, cool, thank you. You're a legend. Thanks for listening. Once again, go to the source material. They are provided in chat now, and they are in the description of all of the uploads of the content. YouTube watchers, comment, let us know what you think about it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down there. Anyone else with comments or questions, you can email us at AskTheRaCast@gmail.com. And the podcasting platforms, if you could leave us a review on there, that would be lovely too. We appreciate it. And most importantly, go to the source material, go to LL Research, go to their YouTube channel. That's where we get these clips from, which may or may not continue. And Gary and the team and Jim and goddamn it, Austin. Sorry, dude. I'm already familiar with Jim. I emailed Gary. So the only reason I know Austin is because of the interviews with all of them. Thank you all for what you do. Thank you for providing this material. And yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you next week. God, what am I doing?
I don't know.
This one here.
Noise.
What is what noise?
You didn't hear that?
It
Sounds like someone tried to open the door.
I mean, it's possible. I have no clue.